What's up? I'm waiting for you guys to come in. Hope everybody is okay. Oh, I just struck a bottle or something. Hope everybody's good. Ready to talk about this, guys? Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome, welcome. Hi, how are you doing? Happy Tuesday evening. What's going on? So I'm ready to talk about this. Remember last week we talked about this. So I'm giving everybody some time to come in, and we're going to continue to part 2 of the discussion. Last week when we were talking about this, it was a really good discussion. So I'm ready to continue to part 2. I hope you guys did your homework. So I'm waiting to see who comes in, and we're going to continue the discussion to part 2 from last week. But how are you guys doing? I hope everybody is good, had a good day, good week so far, even though it's only Tuesday, right? So if you guys could thumbs it up on coming in, and I'm about to share this on my community tab. Hey Truckerell, welcome. How are you doing? What's up, guys? I hope you guys are doing well. I'm about to share myself on my community tab so people will come in. Hope everybody is well. Oh, okay. You missed part 1? Oh, that's okay. Well, it wasn't today. It was last week, Tuesday. It was last week, Tuesday. So no worries. I'm sure everybody's gonna come in. Just give me a minute. I'm about to share this. So I just shared it. So what's going on, guys? How's everybody doing in here? If you guys could thumbs it up on coming in. If you guys are ready for part 2. You remember last week, Tuesday, we talked about this and it was mad funny. It was so funny. So I hope everybody comes in. I just shared it on my community tab, and I'm ready to continue the discussion so we can start laughing about it, because the insights that people give, I find it hilarious. It kind of shows you what people's love language is, and sometimes you may think you know what people's love language is. So it's really surprising to find out what everybody's love language is. So let's do a little recap, because I'm not seeing my main people come in. I don't know if they're maybe busy or what have you. But this was the book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. And it's mainly talking about the 5 love languages, and helping you figure out what your love language is. But hey Tabby, how you doing? Welcome. So the first love language was words of affirmation, right? And that means a person who always needs to be validated with words like, oh, I love you, I care about you, you mean so much to me. They need to hear those words. So if your love language is words of affirmation, you would be the first love language. So the second love language is quality time. Quality time is just that, spending time together, taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend with that person. So if that's your love language, then that's you. The third love language is receiving gifts. So, receiving gifts. How can you show that that's your love language? Is you like presents, and it's not always about big gifts. Yeah, you guys hang out with each other. You guys know what to do, network. So, so if you're a person who likes receiving gifts, that's your jam. That's what you need. That's what's important to you. You talked about this in your work meeting. Okay, cool. Um, so if your thing is receiving gifts, then that's your love language. And the fourth one is acts of service. That's me. I'm a person that I have to be shown. I don't care a person, to me, a person can always tell you how they feel about you, tell you how much they care about you, how much you matter to them. But if you are not giving me acts of service, to me, I don't feel like that's love. But that's me, just telling you guys how I feel. And then the fifth love language is physical touch. So I tend to think that the physical touch is usually men. Not always, but I always feel like the fifth love language of physical touch is usually men. I polled some guys, I talked to coworkers, I talked to my brothers, I talked to some friends, and I'm going to share my input with you guys. So I think she said, Kiki, you said that you talked about this at work meeting. What did you guys have to say about it? What did people at your job think? Because I'm really interested what you guys think about it, because I talked with a, hey, is it Sorry or Serrera? How are you doing? Welcome. So what did your coworkers think when you shared this information with them? Serrera, Sarah, and Kiki. How are you guys doing this evening, this Tuesday evening? If it's even the evening, I know some people maybe it's already Wednesday. So, what happened when you shared this with your coworkers? I don't know. I don't think, maybe they left. Maybe they left the chat. So, I'll just share my thoughts and tell you guys what happens when I spoke with my friends, when I spoke with some other guys, some friends that I have, my brothers, and I'll tell you their thoughts. So, you, like I said before, the love language, I think most people's love language, especially guys, yours is acts of service. See, okay, you and I, yeah, that's my jam. That's my thing, and I don't care what other people say when they say the most important. I know it's just always a matter of opinion. It's a matter of what other people want, but I just don't understand how somebody can love you if they're not showing you. Because I feel like you can always, person can always have a strong talk game. They can always talk up things a lot and say, you know, I care about you and all this stuff, but if you're not showing it, what does it matter? So, you said your love language is acts of service. So, when you say acts of service, what do you mean? Because acts of service is different to different people. For me, it's important for me to like do things that, you know, I need. Like, if you really know somebody and you love somebody, you know what they need and what they want. So I want it to be something like unspoken. Like, I don't feel like you should have to always tell somebody what you need. A person who knows you, they know your routine, they know what it is that you need. I feel like they should just provide that. You know, they should just provide the act of service, provide what you think that I need, because I think a lot of times people always say things like, oh, um, you should tell me what it is that you need. But I feel like if somebody, there are a lot of people who wasn't getting along, so we had to sit and get to know everyone's love language in the workplace. Okay. Well, I think that's really important because, like I said last week in last week's live stream. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I just finished having dinner like maybe 15 minutes ago, so I'm still digesting that. So the sleep is like real right now. But I'm glad you got together on the job. I think that's a great idea. To a lot of people was words of affirmation. Oh, that's interesting. So was it mainly men or women? Like, what was the oh man, I can't think of the word. What is it? Was it mainly men, mainly women, or a mixture? Because that makes a difference. Um, to know what was the dynamic going on. I'm waiting on your comments. So, this has been a really interesting read, really, really interesting read. Like, I didn't think that I would be interested in this book so much. This book was actually given to me by my best friend, and she was actually moving at the time, and she was taking this book and throwing it out. And when I saw it, I was like, huh, that looks like an interesting book. Do you mind if I could have it? And she was like, yeah, because I was throwing it out. So that's why I took the book and I read it really quickly. The book is only this book is 274 pages, so it's a nice read. But for me, my thing is acts of service. That's what's the most important thing for me, and I like that one part of the book. I like this. See if I can go back to the page. Yeah. Well, I can't really read it word for word because I would get a copyright strike. But there's so much stuff that happens, like say people who are in a relationship, and one of the, let's say the guy in the relationship, his love language is physical touch, and then you have the woman in the relationship, her love language is quality time. So you have a guy and he's always trying to hug on you, trying to touch you and stuff, and for him, he's trying to show you love the way he shows love, because his love language is physical touch. So you, the woman, if your thing is quality time, and according to the book, and you're getting upset that all he wants to do is touch me, like, that's not what I need. I need someone to, why don't you spend time with me? Why don't you care about me? And he's like, I do care about you. Don't you see I'm always touching you? So you can have two people who are in a relationship frustrated with each other, and both of them are showing love. They're showing love, but in their way. So the man is showing love by his physical touch, and the woman is like always wants to spend quality time with the guy, but the two of them have not met in the middle, had a conversation. That's why it's so important. Any relationship, I don't think it's always just romantic relationships. I think this applies to so many, um, any relationship actually. It's important to know what a person needs, what's important to them, because how can you really get along with somebody when that person is a person who is always touching you, but for you that's not your thing, and for you actually feel like it's something negative, it's something irritating, like why are they always trying to touch me? And you may think that it's rude, but that is the way that they show love, is by trying to touch you. And I've actually, when I was reading this book and I got to that part about physical touch, it made a lot of sense, because I know some people and they're always like, hey, yeah, yeah, and touching you all the time. So you may think that it's annoying, but they're trying to show you, I care about you, you matter to me, always touching you. So it's a really interesting discussion, but let me get to the poll that I did. I polled 3 women in my life, 3 men. One of them was my best friend. Then I also polled my sister, and I I polled my coworker. So those were the 3 women in my life, and I'll start with my sister. My sister, her love language is a mixture. When I talked to my sister about it, she was like, for her, the most important thing is words of affirmation and acts of service. So she feels like they're both, like, one is not more important than the other. They kind of go together. She feels that you need to have the acts of service first, and then it goes along with one another. So it's like, I'll show you, and then you can tell me about it. For her, that was my sister. She feels like those two go together. And then my coworker, the girl is so crazy. My coworker says her thing was receiving gifts. And hey, Prince Network, how you doing? So, according to my coworker, her thing was receiving gifts. That was like the most important thing to her. And I was like, I never thought a woman would think receiving gifts is a love language, but I guess that is true, because there's some people out there that all they want is, hey, buy me a gift. And I never thought of receiving gifts before I read this book. I never thought of receiving gifts as a love language. I just thought it was like, you want to get somebody a present just because you want to send them a present, but I didn't think it was like a love language. I didn't think it was a way that people show love, but it does make sense. So according to her, it's about gifts, and she said for her, it's not like she wants to always have these big gifts. Um, that's what's important for her, but it's like little things, like if someone needs, whatever it is, like maybe some groceries, um, some other things that they need, small little gifts. She says it's about the little things for her, you know, if it's her favorite candy, buying her favorite candy sometimes, or things that she needs. For her, it's about gifts. That's what she feels is important. So that was her love language. So that's 2. And then it's my best friend, and she was saying, oh my goodness, she was saying her thing was physical touch and the words of affirmation. So I wouldn't think those two to go together, but she was saying she feels like the physical touch and the words of affirmation, she feels like those two go together. So that was her thing. And so that was the women. And then I pulled 3 men. 2 of them were my brothers. One of my brothers is the middle, because you guys know it's 10 of us. And my brother is smack dab in the middle. He's number 5. And then my other brother is right in front of me, so he would be number 9 because I'm number 10. And so my middle brother, his thing was acts of service and words of affirmation and physical touch. So for him, he thinks the most important would be the acts of service, but also the acts of service followed by the words of affirmation and then ended with a physical touch. So that was interesting. He feels like he needs 3 of them to be fulfilled. That's his love language. I thought that was really interesting. So then I have my brother who's right in front of me, number 9. And his thing is definitely it's gifts and it's acts of service. So he likes gifts and acts of service together. So and then did I ask a third? No, I didn't have a third person. I didn't have a third person. So it was just my 2 brothers. So that was what my brothers thought. And the difference, I noticed that most of the women, they wanted words of affirmation when I found that most of the guys didn't really care. So one of my brothers wanted the words of affirmation, but words of affirmation really weren't important to them. For them, it was about the acts of service. And I thought that was interesting. It just shows that you can think people in your life want different things and you think you may know somebody's love language, but until you talk to somebody, ask them what they think, you won't really know. So I really would like to find out what you guys got out of it. What do people in your life think? I would be interested to hear what people who have children, what they thought. Oh, my tablet's not charging. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. Really, my tablet just fell. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so I just thought it would be an interesting discussion to hear what other people thought, what people in your life thought about the love languages. And I think it would be interesting to hear what children would say. Those of you who have children, what do your children think their love languages is? And what do you think as a parent? What is your love language that you thought would be for your children? Really interesting discussion. That's why I wanted to come in and do this, see what you guys think about it. Um, I think it's interesting. I think it would be an interesting discussion to have at work. But I could see how it could get a little heated too because other people really, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like on the job, people don't respect each other's boundaries, and I feel like that can be a problem sometimes on the job. Um, People who can be very demanding. So that's my thoughts on it. Is anybody here in this live stream right now? I don't know. If anybody is here, please comment and let me know. 9:18. Prince Network is here. Like about 5 minutes ago. Hey, Prince Network, what's going on? I'm not seeing any viewers right now. It's saying that nobody is here, so I'm just gonna keep talking because I'm not seeing any messages from anybody. So I noticed a lot of people's love language was words of affirmation. That was Kiki said that. Yeah, a lot of people, their thing is words of affirmation. But I thought it was cool that a lot of times you could be in a relationship with somebody and you could think that the person is not caring about you or not showing you love the way that you want to be loved, and the person is loving you, but loving you their way, loving you the way that they need to receive love. So I think that's why it's so important to have this discussion. Talk to whoever you're in a relationship with, especially. I think it would be important during a dating process, but also it would be important to talk to your children, your brothers and sisters. I could see how this could really help to improve relationships, because then you can know what other people in your life, what they really need. And yeah, that's why I wanted to have this discussion. But I guess everybody in the world now is live because I don't see anybody in here. It only says one person is in my live right now. But yeah, guys, I wanted to talk to you guys. I'm just scrolling. Hold on a minute. Hey, one person who's hanging out here with me. How are you doing? Whoever you are. And yeah, that's why I wanted to come in and have this discussion with you guys and find out how did it go. Because I know last week um, we talked about it and it was a good discussion. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts. What happened versus last week? Did you talk to those people in your life and find out what their love language was? And how are you going to seek to improve on those relationships? Because a good relationship. Hey, V Dub, welcome. How are you doing? I think a good relationship is built on good communication, trust, and respect. That's the foundation of a good relationship. And if you don't have that, if you can't have a simple discussion with somebody and talk about something as important as what someone's love language is, okay, thank you. I just think it's important if you can't talk to somebody, find out, what's going on with them. Do you really care about, others? It's something hard to even, thank you for the thumbs up. It's something really hard to admit to being selfish, because we are all inherently selfish because of our imperfection. But it's important to have this discussion to find out how other people in your life, how they need to receive love, because how can you really love somebody when you don't know how they like to receive love? So it's important to have this discussion with people in your life. I think it's a great discussion to have with anybody you're in a relationship with, and to talk to your siblings. That's a really funny discussion. I talked to one of my sisters. I still have one more sister to talk to. No, actually, two more sisters. But that's kind of a hairy area, because me and that sister were not really getting along. So I don't know how that would happen. But the discussion that I had with my brothers, I thought it was interesting, because sometimes you can think I thought for sure I knew what my two brothers would be, especially my middle brother. Um, if you guys don't know, I'll tell you. There's 10 of us. Oh, thank you. If you guys don't know already, there's 10 of us. I have 9 siblings, and it's interesting to hear things from a male point of view, especially from your brothers. And my middle brother, he's the fifth child, and from his point of view, he thought it was really important, his two thoughts, but from a different aspect, coming from being a protector um, of women in his life, and that's why he's that way. But my brother, who's in front of me, because he never really had to have the role as being a protector, he's more, the most important for him was the receiving gifts. Um, and I thought that was interesting. Usually, when it comes to receiving gifts, it's usually the women. Usually, women keep it real, who like to receive gifts all the time. But I thought it was interesting that my brother really liked receiving gifts, and that was important to him. Receiving gifts is the third of the love languages, and the other one that he liked was the fifth love language of physical touch. So that was his jam. That's what he needs to be fulfilled, and that was his love languages. But it was far different when it came to the women in my life. I talked to two of my sisters, no, one of my sisters, my best friend, and a coworker. Hey, Terra Squad, how are you doing? Welcome. I hope you're good, good, good. And I'm interested to see the results, because I know you were in here last week when we talked about this book here, The Five Love Languages. You're exhausted but alive. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Um, I just wanted to find out the results, because remember we went live. I went live last week, and we did the part 1. So this is the part 2. I just wanted to know if you talked to anybody in your life, if you had a discussion with anybody in your life. I know you were saying that you had to put some boundaries in place when it came to what you had to do about, breastfeeding and stuff. But have you talked to anybody in your family or friends about this book or discussion, Terror Squad? Everybody in the world must be live, because I never. Hi, how are you doing? Yes, thanks for coming in. Welcome. I just wanted to get some thoughts from others. I think you may be the only one in here. But have you ever read the book? You've heard of the book, but you haven't read it? Okay. So the basis of this book is to talk about the five love languages, of course. And there's 5. Hey, Dan, how are you doing? Welcome. Thank you. Um, and so there's 5 love languages, of course. So the first one is words of affirmation. The second love language is quality time. The third one is receiving gifts. The fourth one is acts of service. The the third one is receiving gifts. The fourth one is acts of service, and the fifth one is physical touch. So, according to that, before you even read the book, what do you think is the most important for you? See, words of affirmation, you would be a person who always needs to hear how much you're loved and how much you matter and all that stuff. You don't know? I like quality time. Okay. So if you're a person who wants quality time, if quality time is the most important thing for you, then if you were ever in a relationship with someone and they always needed love language number 4, which is acts of service, how could you handle that? Because usually two people do not have the same love languages, so that's usually where the conflict lie. And for me, gifts for you. Hey Bree, how are you doing? Welcome. Gifts for me. That's important for you. Wow, a lot of women like gifts. A lot of women like gifts. So, Bree, what is your love language? I don't know if you were in this discussion last week, but you don't need gifts. Yeah. Um. Well, I think I'm a little bit of every one of the. All of the 5 love languages are important to me, but I'm definitely an acts of service person. Just me personally, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but I feel like how can you really say you love somebody if they don't give you the acts of service? Like, I believe it's all about the actions because I know there's a lot of people who need words of affirmation, and not that that doesn't have a place and it's not important, but I think it's more important to show somebody that you love them than to just say it. And I guess I like acts of service because I need that time and concern. Okay. So that one is mine. I'm definitely an acts of service person. Like, you got to show me. Like, I need to see the action. But that's my thing. And that's what I need. So before, I'll just keep it real. When I was in a relationship before, the person, all they, you know, cared about was physical touch. For them, that's the only thing that was important to them was physical touch. But if they're a physical touch person and I'm an acts of service person, I was feeling like, are you gonna care? Are you ever gonna care about me? Are you ever going to show me, when all they ever wanted to do is to be affectionate? So that's where the problem can lie, when you're having the discussion with somebody to tell them, hey, this is what I need. And then it's important for you guys to meet halfway. Have that discussion. And so that you don't feel like, you feel unfulfilled. You feel unhappy. You feel like the person doesn't care about you. The person doesn't love you. But according to what they were saying, they were doing physical touch. But that's not my love language. So that's how I can see why relationships are so hard and why relationships break up, because one person can be giving you love language in their way, but if that's not what's the most important thing to you, you can see how a problem can arise, right? You can see how it can be so frustrating. And it was frustrating because I was like, listen, you ain't gonna keep trying to grab on me and touch me when you don't even show me how you feel by doing things for me. So um, that's why it's important to have this discussion, and not just because I know the book was really written for commitment to your mate, how to show and express heartful commitment to your mate. I know the book is really meant to be, geared toward romantic relationships, but it can encompass all relationships. I think somebody earlier that was in here says that the most for her, because they weren't getting along on the job, so that's why they had to have this discussion about what each other's love language is, because I feel like if you don't know somebody's love language, is you can have lots of headbutting and people not getting along and arguments when those boundaries aren't in place, and you don't know how to respect people and how to move forward with them because you don't know what the other person needs. And that's why it's important to have these type of discussions so you can find out what's going on with everybody, what they like, what they need. Yeah. So that was what she said, and I just wanted to hear from you guys what you guys thoughts were. I guess Bree and Terra Squad. I think it's for, did it forget? No, is it still there? Yeah, it's still there. Yeah, so I just wanted to hear from you guys, hear what you guys thought. Um, did you guys talk with anybody in your family? Um, but I'm not hearing from anybody tonight. So I'm not hearing from anybody tonight. So I'm not going to just stay. Your husband's is acts of service. So did you have a discussion with him, Terror Squad, and ask him that? Because I think sometimes that can be the problem. Excuse me. That can lead up to divorce is when a husband and wife or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever whatever it is, whatever um people in a relationship, that's where the problem can lie, is that people aren't communicating and talking about what they really need. And I think a lot of times that you can know that something's not right, but you may not know really how to go about talking about it. And that's why books like this are so helpful, because it kind of gives you like a skeleton, um, like a foundation where to start, and then you can build on it by talking with one another. We went to a marriage retreat where we learned about the five, that disappeared too fast, where we learned about the five love languages, and we did the test to figure out what ours were. Okay, so his is acts of service. So what is yours, Terror Squad? Or did you say it already and I missed it? Oh, you said it was gifts for you. Okay. So how do you guys handle that if you're a person who needs gifts and your husband wants acts of service? How do you guys get along? Um, because those are two completely different love languages. How do you guys get along when it comes to that? Um, that's usually the question. It's easy when two people have the same love languages. That's easy to get along. But what do you do when two people have two different opinions, two different ways to, love? How do you get along? How do you communicate the differences between the two of you? Uh, I think that's an interesting conversation to have. Um, I think that's an interesting conversation because I know the previous relationship that I was in, all they cared about was the physical touch. And I thought they didn't care about me at all. I thought it was just, you know, they were just interested in having a physical relationship with me, and that was the way that they needed love. That was their love language, and mine is quality time, and not quality time. Mine's acts of service. So I'm like, when are you going to do something for me? Um, and they were just trying to be affectionate, and it didn't work out because I didn't think they cared about me. You just try to make sure we are filling each other's love tank. If I know he wants the dishes cleaned, or something, I make sure to try and do something for him and vice versa. See, that's when you have a healthy relationship. See, what I was having was an unhealthy relationship, because all they wanted to do, just a physical relationship. And it was no discussion, no talking about, what it is that I needed. And when I told them how unhappy I was, it didn't really matter because they were saying, I love you, and I am showing you by showing you affection. And this was way before I even knew anything about this book, and I thought it was all rubbish because I didn't think that they mattered. I didn't think I didn't think that they loved me because I just thought the only way to get love is by actions. And it opened up my eyes to say, maybe they really were trying to show me love, but their way. But you do have to have somebody who tries to meet you halfway and cares about what you need, what you want, and try to fulfill each other's wants and needs, because that's what a good and healthy relationship is about. Yeah, some people just assume that the way they want to be loved is the same way as others, right? And I can say that for me, Terror Squad. Honestly, if I'm just going to be 100% honest, I thought that the person I was in a relationship with, I thought that they didn't love me at all because they weren't giving me love the way I needed to be loved. And love is not one sided. You have to think about others. So it just shows um, my maturity level. My maturity level at the time. I just said, if you're not going to give me love the way I need love, then we're done. And it wasn't a healthy relationship, anyways, and it ended. But yeah, that's why it's important to have these discussions, to talk about this stuff, because it's really interesting. So, Terror Squad, were you the one who said that you were going to have a discussion with your sister? Because I would like to get some more. That wasn't you? I'm trying to figure out who that was. I don't know who that was then. Sorry about that, Terror Squad. I thought that was you. But I just think this is a cool discussion. Have you ever um talked about this on your job, Terror Squad, or anybody else who's here on the live stream? Because I am seeing that nobody is here. Oh, you're saying it's okay. Um, I'm seeing that this would be a nice discussion to have with coworkers or your parents or your children, so that you can find out what it is that they need. I know you have kids. I don't know how old your children are. Terror Squad, but we talked about it when he was in the military. Okay. Well, at least you guys had the discussion. I think that's one of the most important things is that to have healthy and happy relationships, you have to have discussions. You have to have open communication and talking with one another, because it's nothing but confusion and sadness and frustration when you don't have an open communication. So I'm glad that you were able to talk with your husband about it, and you guys get along and things are working. So that's a discussion that I wanted to have with you guys. I wanted to hear what your thoughts you guys had, and to follow up on last week. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say, guys. And thanks everybody who came in. Thanks for my 10 thumbs up. I appreciate that. Thanks for coming in, Terror Squad, and I think Prince Network earlier, and a few others. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you guys so much. And we'll talk again tomorrow. And tomorrow is going to be my live stream. I don't know what time is a good time. I'm thinking about going live like as soon as I get home from work. So maybe like 4:30 to 5:30, something like that. So I hope you guys can come hang out with me tomorrow and have that discussion. And thanks everybody for always coming through and watching my videos, thumbsing it up, and I'll see you guys. You'll try to be there. Thank you, Terror Squad. When do you go live, Terror Squad? You don't? You might this Friday? Ooh, that's exciting. You may go live this Friday? Please tell me what time. Because we can start off in hi. We can start welcome. We can start off in your live, and then we can go to my live. I see that's how a lot of other YouTubers do their live. They go from one person's live to the next person's live, so that way you can have lots of people coming into your live stream. So let me know what time you want to go live on Friday. I'm going to be showing fireworks. Oh, okay. So I'll still be in there at least to give you 10 to 15 minutes of love and share it out for you and all that stuff. So I'm gonna make sure my notification bell is on for that, and I'll show up to yours. So thank you so much. I appreciate that, and have a good night, everyone, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's see. I'm gonna look at my schedule. Hold on, guys, and I'm gonna tell you exactly when I'll go get off of work at 4 Eastern Standard Time. 30 minutes to come home, take a shower, have something to eat. So I'm thinking between 4:30 and 5 tomorrow. I'm gonna go live. So Eastern Standard Time. So 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I hope I can see you guys there. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Terror Squad, and everybody else who came through and thumbs it up. It's been a great discussion, and I've enjoyed it. 5 more minutes so that I can get credit for a full hour on my live stream right now. It's at 55 minutes. So I got 5 more minutes to hang out with you guys before I end it. I hope your kids are well, Terra Squad. I know that you're exhausted, and I thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know that you have other things to do besides hang out with me at almost 10 at night. So thank you so much. I just got. Hopefully your kids will be sleeping in 5 minutes. I hope so. Is this their normal bedtime? I'm just asking for you to hang out with me for 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And I promise I'll let you go. 3 minutes and 50 seconds. As soon as it hits 10 o'clock. They're supposed to be asleep, but are your kids really sleeping or do they fake sleep? Because I remember when I was younger, all I used to do is fake sleep. I used to pretend like I was sleeping, but I would be in there reading a book or singing or doing something or messing around with my clothes for the next day for school. I wasn't sleeping at all. So do your kids fake sleep? I know I used to fake sleep. I used to just pretend like I was sleeping and I really wasn't. I wish they would fake sleep. One is with me on the couch and the other one rolling around loudly in bed. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Rolling around loudly in bed. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. So I hope they. And he gets up at 6 a.m. Oh my goodness, Terror Squad, I know you're exhausted. I promise. 2 more minutes. Less than 2 minutes. A minute and 58 seconds. Oh, Felicity is sleeping? Okay. Well, that's good. Well, you got one down, one to go, right? Well, hopefully, by the time this live is over in 2 minutes, yeah, 2 to go. Yeah. Hopefully, by the time this live is over in 2 minutes, they'll both be knocked out, right? By the time this live is over in 2 minutes, they'll be both like, that's my gift to you, Mom. Both of us are sleeping before 10 o'clock. So I'm about to go to bed myself. They're hard headed. Aww. Sometimes I don't think so, Terror Squad. Sometimes I don't think boys are hard headed. I just think they just have very aggressive personalities. My heartburn is kicking tonight, guys. I had spaghetti for dinner and all I have is heartburn. But I wanted that spaghetti. I wanted that spaghetti so bad and it was so good. But I'm paying for it now. Okay, guys. It is time for me to get out of here. Thanks for hanging out with me, Terra Squad. and one other person. Yeah, it is good. I had spaghetti for dinner, and I enjoyed it so much, but now I have heartburn, so I don't know why. Donnie! Donnie! Now I don't want to go. Hey, Marge, how you doing? That's okay, no problem. Okay, Terror Squad, you can go to bed, honey. I'll stay up, and me and Dawn and Marge will talk. Bye, Terror Squad. I'm going to hang out with Dawn now. Dawn, do you ever read the book? You ever read this one? Do you read this one, Dawn? The Five Love Languages? Um, Last week we talked about it a little bit. I don't know if you were in here. I think last week it was me. Quality time was. That's a good one, Marge. You don't remember? I bet if we talk about it, it will come back to your memory. But the love language. The first one was words of affirmation. 2 is quality time. 3 is receiving gifts. 4 is acts of service, and 5 is physical touch. So most of the time, I was kind of like surprised because I thought almost every guy it was going to be physical touch, but no. Well, I only asked 2 guys, and they were both my brothers. But one of them said physical touch. The other one didn't even say physical touch. His thing was words of affirmation. Yep, that's what it is. So don't think that you're gonna know, guys, what somebody else thinks when it comes to these words of affirmation. These love languages, because I thought I knew. Especially, I thought I knew what my best friend would say, and I was like shocked when she told me her thing was gifts. I was like, what? Yeah, I agree, Marge. I agree. Everybody's free to, that's how you feel. That's how you feel. That's what makes all of us unique individuals. But, I just think it's interesting what's important to others. And we have to learn to respect each other. We have to respect each other's love languages and do what's important for them. So that's why it's an important discussion. And why is Dawn being so quiet? You agree? Dawn, what did you ever talk about to anybody in your life about this book? I know you're here. I'm just asking you. Guys, I didn't even try. I just came to you guys. You're eating? Okay. I just came to you guys. Whatever. I was like, I'm not gonna fix my hair. I'm not putting on any makeup. I'm just coming in here real and true. Real and true. I'm giving you guys the square hair. You never read it? Okay. And your mom talked about it a lot? Yeah. Hey, Sun Media. How are you doing? Yeah. So, I think it's a nice discussion to have. And I never thought that I would be like as interested in the book as I am. But I want to talk to everybody about it. I want to talk to everybody about it. But not everybody is interested. Oh, I'm good. How are you doing? Um, I just think this is a really important subject, and yeah, you guys talk with each other. I just thought it was an interesting subject. Sometimes I wish my mom and dad was still alive so I could talk to them about it, but I believe 100% that even though my mom is not here, I feel like 100% I knew what my mom was. Because no, I don't have that book. Is that a good one, Marge? Um, I feel like even though my mom and dad aren't alive anymore, I feel like I know what my mom's own would be because that's all she ever used to talk about. You don't spend time with me. You don't spend time with me. I need more of your time. I need more of your time. So that's why I believe my mommy's would be quality time. Um, and I don't really know what my dad's own would be. You think it is? Yeah. So that's all my mom used to say to all of us. There's 10 of us kids, and all my mom ever wanted was, she's like, I just want a little bit of your time. I just want a little bit of your time. I can still hear it in my ears. But so that's why I think my mom's own would be quality time. I have no idea what my dad's own would be because my dad was more private and shy and reserved. So I don't know what my dad's own would be, but I just assume my mom's own was quality time. So that's why I say that because that's all she ever talked about was quality time, and that's what was important to her. And the older that I'm getting, I can see why that would be important. And I think like it would be important, especially if I had so many children. I don't know how my mom did it, honestly. Even though that was a long time ago, but 10 kids, 10 kids. Mm, 10? Mm, mm. I don't know how my mom did it. I and my dad, I can't leave him out of it, but 10. So, but my mom and dad really loved each other. So, I think about that sometimes and I just smile like my mom and dad, they really loved each other. So, I feel like I had a good example of love. Um my dad, he when he died, my dad died first. He had prostate cancer. Yeah, it is a lot. Um well, my dad died from prostate cancer, and I feel like um my mom was really strong. Like I don't know how she did that. Like maybe about 2 years before he had prostate cancer, my mom had a open heart surgery. So she still had her own physical like physical limitations, I guess you could say. But I guess it doesn't stop when you're. It shows that if you really care about somebody, that it doesn't really matter what you have going on. If you want to be there for somebody, you will. So that's like when I hear people say, I wanted to be there for you, but I couldn't. I don't buy that. I feel like if somebody really wants to be there for you, they will be. I think it's a choice, and people just make excuses. People just make excuses a lot of times, like, "Oh, I I was busy," or "I'm working a lot," or "I was taking care of my kids," or whatever it is. So I think you can make excuses for everything, but if you want to show up and be there for people, show them that you care about them, show them you support them and you love them, you will. So my mom definitely showed that. So I can say one thing about my mom is that she was a good wife, and a good mom. She, I don't know how they did it. Like, I don't know how they did it and stayed sane, you know? I would have lost my mind. I would have lost my mind. 10 kids, like, for real, for real. Mm-mm, mm-mm. It wouldn't have worked. My was this back in, and then my mom had me when she was older and stuff, up in age. My mom had me when she was 40, and my dad was 41. Of course, you know, I'm the 10th child, so my mom thought it was like, this is the end, like, yay, I'm in menopause. But no, it is not menopause. It was another baby. It was another baby. So I was, how can how, how can you tell how they did it? What do you mean? I don't understand your question. Can you tell how they did it? And can you elaborate on that? I don't know what you mean. Can you tell how they did it? I don't know what you mean by that. Can you tell how they did what? They did. You're like, how they do what? Johnny. Yeah. So, I just thought, like, I don't know, it's just something awesome. It's not something you really see these days. Like, my parents were married 52 years, and you just don't hear about that anymore. You just don't hear about people staying together and toughing it out so long through, through 10 kids, grandchildren, I think when before my mom passed away, she was a great grandmother. So she got to see, you know, she got to be a grandma. She got to see her granddaughter have a baby. It's like, wow, she got to be a Gigi, as she said, a great grandmother. And I think that that's awesome to be able to see all those things. Andrew, I'm alive. What happened?
What the?
Andrew, I told you already. I can't until Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know how they did it. I will never figure it out because that's a lot. That's a lot of ups and downs. And my mom and dad used to tell me about their story, about how they met and all that stuff. And I could tell you guys if you guys want to hear it. You guys aren't really saying anything. So um, my mom and dad, um, they were both born in Jamaica. And my dad was a police officer in Jamaica at the time. And my mom was working in Jamaica. She was working as a, no problem. So my mom was a secretary. She's working in an office at the time. And my dad had not my dad, but the policeman's guild in Jamaica, they had a, what is it called? I would say like a policeman's ball or something, like a gala or something for all the police officers. So my dad was there, and of course, because my mom was a secretary, so of course, she had to organize everything. So my my dad was there already, and my dad said as soon as he saw my mom um, come into the room, she was there with some of her girlfriends, and then my dad says as soon as I saw her, that was it. He's like, that's it. He's like, my heart was with her immediately. So I don't know. My dad says it for him. It was love at first sight. I didn't think those things existed. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Hey, that kid, welcome. And I just thought it was something like interesting. You know, like people say all the time, like it was love at first sight, and there was like sparks, and you know, like a glow around the person and all that stuff. You hear that stuff all the time, but you know, I just didn't feel like those things really happened. Those things really exist, but my dad said that's how it was for him. He was like, as soon as I saw her, he's like, I saw her on the dance floor and I thought she was just beautiful, and everybody else disappeared. And thank you. So that's what my dad said. And my mom didn't say it that way. My mom said she wasn't really trying to be in a relationship at the time. So my mom played hard to get, and my dad had to have some strong game because my mom wasn't interested in anybody at the time. But my dad said for him that was it. He said the first time he saw her, that was it. So I guess it can happen, guys. I don't know of anybody besides my dad who's ever said that it was love at first sight. Most of the time it's lust at first sight. But my dad said that was it. He says he knew right away. He knew right away. So I guess it does happen. Do you guys know anybody who has experienced love at first sight and it really be love, like these relationships last for like years or something? Because I don't know any. I don't know any at all. So my mom and dad, they got married a year. I think it was exactly a year after they met. And I thought that was cool. Like my dad said back then, they didn't do, like, you know how like people when they're engaged and stuff, when they're engaged, like they have this long engagement period. And my dad said they didn't do that back then. It was, you only were engaged long enough, but you know, this was different time. You were only engaged long enough for the woman to make her wedding dress, because back then it wasn't like now where you go to a dress shop and you buy a dress. And I was like, as my mom's like, it took you a year to make your dress. She's like, yeah, because she said she kept making so many changes. And she said it was different times. She's like, when you were getting married back then, it was like an exciting time. Like you bonded with your mom, your aunts, your grandma, and you guys all went and picked out fabric, and you chose the veil and you did all that stuff. And then that was it. It wasn't like how now where people get these big, you know, ballrooms and all this pomp and circumstance, all this excitement, and spend all this money. My parents got married in a church probably with 15, no, it was a good amount of people, but I mean, the reception was at their house. But you know, houses are different there than here. You have lots of land, you know, lots of land and space there. So you have room for a big party, but it's like you get married and then you have a house party and you have one of the women in town make you a cake, and you have rum punch and all the other foods that they have in Jamaica. And that was it. And they got married in 65. And they were married for 52 years. Almost 53 years. So 52 and a half years they were married. So I guess there is such thing as love at first sight. I guess. And all the things that, you know, that you can go through in a relationship, I think. like like losing a job, and I know my mom and dad, like there was many times, excuse me, there's many times of course where my mom wasn't working, of course, because she was with child. Like, when wasn't my mom with child? There were so many times where my mom was with child, so of course she wasn't working, so my dad had to be the main provider. And yeah, I just think those were different times where my mom put her life on hold, but after a while she went back to school and um, showed us that you can do that too. So I had awesome parents. Um, I had awesome parents that cared about me, loved me, and loved their children and grandchildren. And I think it's so awesome to be able to have that, because I know not everybody had that. We weren't a perfect family, of course not. We're all imperfect people, but I know one thing for sure is I knew that my mom and my dad loved each other, and they did the best that they could for us, and they tried to be good providers and to train us to be good people. So I think they did that. I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay, and I can finally say that after in next week, yeah, next Wednesday is going to be 2 years since my mom is gone, and I finally feel like I'm able to cope. And this has been 2 years almost, and I finally feel like things are. Thank you, Sun Media. I finally feel like, like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. I think sometimes you have to go through the situation to understand what I'm saying. But it's like I finally feel like life is coming together again. Because like in the beginning, it's like when you lose your parents, it's like you kind of feel like, how do you go on? Because you basically are an orphan. Like how do I go on without my mom and dad? Like sometimes you just have things that you only want to ask your mom or your dad, and you kind of feel lost for a long time. Like, oh, thank you, Sun Media. Um, I kind of felt like I was like so lost for such a long time. Like my head was like really messed up. Like like how do you, I don't know. I kind of felt like, how do I go on? Like you don't really think that your life would ever be that way, and then it is, and then it's like, man, it's like a mind trick. And I can understand why people go into like depression and commit suicide and stuff like that when they don't really have any other objectives or goals. Like if you only lived for that person and you never had a life for yourself. I can, hey April, how you doing? Welcome. I think you kind of can get lost in the shuffle of everything. You can kind of get lost in that when you don't have you kind of have to have your own life, and that's what happened for me. Is I thought, I personally thought I'm doing good. Thanks for coming in. I know it's late, guys. Um, I kind of thought I had my own life, but because my dad died first from cancer, um, I kind of thought I had. Yes, thanks, Dawn, for welcoming everybody. I kind of thought I had my own life, but it was like I will not lie. I am definitely a daddy's girl. I'm always going to be daddy's girl. My daddy is where my heart is. But it was like, it messed me up. Because, I knew he was sick and everything. When he passed away, I knew he was sick. I knew he was going to die. I knew he was on hospice. But then when they're like actually gone, and then you're like, one day when you want to ask somebody a question, like, there's certain questions that you only want to talk to your mom about. There's some things like only your daddy can answer that. And it was like new to be like, now what is the next step? Like, what? Andrew, can you hold on until after? It's like, what do you do now that they're not here anymore? Yeah, there's no preparing for that. And it's crazy. It's crazy because you kind of feel like, oh, like you're. No, I'm not saying for you guys to tear up. I'm not saying it for any. I'm just sharing. I'm just sharing because I'm in a good place right now. Yeah, of course, Dawn. I know that you have to pray and all that stuff, but like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it or put it into words, but it's like it messed me up. That's the only thing I can say. That's the only thing that I can say. It's like, and because I lost my mom and my dad like so close together, like my dad died in October of 2016, and my mom died just about 7 months later. So he died in October, and then she died in May. So it was like I still was tripping off him dying, like, trying to wrap my head around it. Well, thank you, Marge. I was still trying to like get my head wrapped around it because it's like, every time somebody close to you passes away, you have to kind of like restart your life without them. And it's like, how do you live without people in your life that are like important to you? And I never really had thought about it, like, but it's a trip, like, and until you go through it, it's like nobody can prepare you for it. But when it happens to you, it completely spins your world out of control. Like, you thought you were okay, you thought you were good until they're gone, and it's like, whoa, like, what's happening? I thought I was a person that had so much faith, like, oh, I have faith, I believe. Hey, Gambian Cuisine. Okay, Dawn. I was like, yeah, I believe, I have faith, but then I always say, the quality. I always say the quality of your faith comes in after you've been tested. So that's when my faith really shined through. When I had to make my own relationship with God. Not that I didn't have one with God already, but like I had to renew it. I had to like strengthen it, and made those things real in my own mind. So that was me, and everybody has different struggles, and but that was me, and it was just like just losing both of them. Like, I think maybe if I had more time like apart, like if my dad had died, and then maybe if it was like a year later or 2 years later or something, maybe it would have been a little better. But losing them both like within, oh, you do? How you doing, Noah?
Did you steal my iPad charger?
Yeah, it's right here.
Why are you asking?
Because you were in the bathroom.
You should ask.
I'm on a live stream, Johnny. Yeah, guys. So that was just my thoughts, and I wasn't coming on here to even talk about this stuff, but I'm just saying, no problem, Noah. Um, but I'm just saying that this was my way. That's how I coped with it, and everybody copes with things differently. But I can look back on it and I can say I had two awesome parents, and they loved their 10 children, and I miss them. So no, I don't actually. I'm not a good person to ask, Noah. I'm not a good person to ask for those kinds of things. Um, I'm good with other things. I can help you with fashion and positive motivation. Thank you, Gambian Cuisine. I just can't come on here to encourage other people, because maybe your thing may not be a death in the family, but maybe you have a chronic illness. Maybe you may be dealing with your children. Fashion, it depends on what your style is, Noah. So, everybody goes through different situations, but I just always want to be a source of encouragement to others, because when I say that I, oh, I know, Noah, um, when I say I know what it's like to feel like you hit rock bottom, or when you feel like nobody cares about you, to feel like so alone in the world. I know what that feels like. So I'm going to give you guys some encouragement, because I've come from being in a really dark place to feeling so good now. You like outgoing and flashy? Maybe try some consignment stores, Noah. So I just want to give some encouragement to everybody out there. No matter what your situation is, I know everybody can be encouraged to. Thank you, Gambian Cuisine. Everybody can be encouraged to stay positive and to not give up, no matter what your struggle or your circumstance is. That's what I want to be. Thank you, Marge. No, I actually don't. I'm a jeans and t-shirt girl, so I couldn't really help you with that. Yes. Mhm. Great advice, Marge. So, what are you guys? Are you guys all in a happy place in your life? You'll get jeans and t-shirts. No, Noah, you should do what you like. This one thing that I realized after going through all these struggles and situations in my life. Don't try to be something that you're not. Don't try to please others. Just be yourself, and it's too bad if other people don't like it, because there was a time. Hey, Jane. Um, there was a time in my life where I was in such a dark place. This was even before my parents passed away. I was in such a dark place during that time that I was just trying to make other people happy, but yet I was unhappy. So don't try to be something that you're not. And the people who were making me so miserable, all they were doing is, because I'm a very soft spoken person, as you guys can hear. I'm not a wild person. I just quiet, soft spoken, but I I feel like with my channel I can show people who are like me that it's okay to just be yourself. You don't have to try to be like, all hyped up and excited and show off for other people. It's time it's time to find out what, Marge, um that it's nothing like being yourself. No, I would just no, I would just say, see if you can go to stores like Macy's, and they have all those kinds of undergarments, and they have the ones that is like can't think of the name now, but it's seamless. Look for things that are seamless. Thank you, Marge. So, yeah, guys, I just wanted to give you guys some encouragement and show you guys that even though I was in a dark place, that you can get through it too. Because if you're in a dark place now, try to be a light to somebody else. And if you can, volunteer your time to other people who have gone through a similar situation like you. And give back. And it's going to make you feel so good, like sharing my story before. Before, when I used to share my story, I cried through it. I just cried. I cried through my story. But now, when I tell my story, I can tell my story with a smile, because this is my testimony. This is my life story. This is what happened to me, and I made it through on the other side through that test, and I'm still here. There was times where I didn't want to be here. I didn't care to be here, and I didn't think I had a purpose or a reason. So if you are in that dark place, you're feeling like you can't make it through, there's a reason why you're here. And you may not know right now why, but in the future, like now that I've been through it, now I know I've been through that situation to come in and to be a positive force in even one person's life, to let them know that after the rain, the sun does come out again, and you can shine brightly. You can be a source of light and encouragement and positivity to others, that you have something important to share with others. So, any fashion advice? Like what? For what, Noah? That you can be a positive, shining force. And I hope if I can do that for just one person, if just one person say, hey, I like going by Living Your Best Life's channel, and I like hearing her story. And I know she's been through struggles, but she's made it through. So maybe I can keep going too. If I only do that for one person, then I would feel so good. And I would feel like 4 years ago, jewelry and accessories, lip products. It depends on what kind of lip products you want and what kind of jewelry. Are you talking about costume jewelry or real jewelry? So I feel like it's important to stay true to yourself. I know sometimes people may try to change you, People may try to change you. People may try to hold you down. But stay encouraged, guys. That's what I can say. Stay encouraged that there is strength in the power of your mind. When I was feeling so discouraged, so down, my mind power was very low. I was feeding into the negativity. Lipstick and lip gloss. Well, lip gloss. My favorite lip gloss is from MAC. And as far as skip the Spanx, yeah, if you don't want to have rolls, I wouldn't recommend Spanx. So, lipstick. I would tell you to start off by buying some drugstore lipstick first, so that you can kind of see what kind of lipstick you like. Do you like creamy? Do you like satin? Do you like matte? Try things in the drugstore before you go to the mall and buy the expensive stuff, because most of the time in the drugstore you can find a lipstick for about $5, whereas if you bought it in the mall or something, yeah, department stores, you can get samples from department stores, but their stuff is expensive. So if you really do like something, now you're kind of stuck because now you like it and you want to buy it. So I would say start off with drugstore stuff that you can afford, especially I think you're young. Yeah, don't share makeup with anybody. So that's my advice on makeup. Go to the drugstore and start off there. Yes, don't, Noah. So guys, yeah, you should be. I think that's something, I think that's one of the lessons that you learn the older that you get is I think a lot of times people try to please people the younger that you are, but then when you get to be older, you're like, that show gets old so fast. It's so old to try to please others, to try to be something that you're not. If you're not that, then you're not it. So just keep being yourself. That's the advice I would give. Keep being yourself, and don't let people put you down. Even if people say things to you, and I know that's something easy. Okay. You can don't be discouraged. Just keep going. So guys, I'm here about to fall asleep. I'm trying to keep this discussion going, but I'm exhausted. So I want to thank you guys for. Should you get a bra? Oh. If you feel like you need one, Noah, you should. And you will know. You will know, because if they're poking through, then you probably do. So thanks guys for coming by. Sorry I have to end it, but I don't want to be falling asleep on my live stream. So I want to thank you guys for stopping by, for hanging out with me, for thumbsing it up. I appreciate you guys so much, guys. And yeah, good to meet you guys. Thanks everybody for coming in, and we'll have another discussion. I'm live every single day. what your hips show. Maybe a body shaper, Noah. So, no problem, Noah. So, thanks for everybody listening to me as I blab, blab, blab. As I blab on. And I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening to me. It makes me feel like I didn't just come on here for no reason. That I have people who actually want to listen to me talk about, my story, my life, or things that I'm interested in. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. And I'll be live every single day. I'm going to be live tomorrow about 4:30. Yes, it was. Thank you, Sun Media. So I'm going to be live tomorrow, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, Noah, because it depends on how you're shaped and all that stuff, and your size, all that stuff. Thank you, Marge. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, guys. Yeah, I would say get a they call the thing a body shaper. So so when you get a body shaper, it definitely will help you. Thanks everybody for stopping by. I appreciate all you guys so much. So thank you. That just shows I don't have to put on fancy makeup and fix my hair, because I certainly did not fix my hair. I didn't even put on lip gloss today. Just came on here naturally and authentically me and talked about this book. That's how I started off, about this book, 5 Love Languages, and then ended on this good discussion talking about my parents. So thanks everybody for stopping by. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern Standard